Good evening, PNG, and thanks for joining us for another great show of Hotspot on your Thursday night viewing only on MTV. Glad you could join us. As you can see, we're down here at the Mario Barracks Oval with a couple of Ted Daroya students behind us enjoying a good game of sports. Coming up on the show, we have Richard Whitchurch, who is the tournament director for the National Women's Snooker titles. Yep, another great tournament for this year, and Richard will be previewing what we can expect for the titles. Defending champ is none other than Gewa John, yep, the female top snooker player at the moment.
Gewa John is still the defending champ. To my knowledge, she is still taking part. But there are some other young ladies and older ladies as well that are catching up to speed with her, I guess. Women, the participation is increasing every year. And, you know, I've seen in the last 12 months a lot of women coming and practicing at this venue and at the car club as well, and they're steadily getting better. The Oceania helped in some respects for some of the women, so yeah, no, I believe snooker for women is on the rise.
Also coming up, we bring to you some great news for the Papua New Guinea Women's Rugby Football Union. Yep, they recently received some huge corporate backing, so stay tuned for that. Also coming up later on in the show, we will be going through the finalists for the SP Sports Awards. Yep, the night has finally come this Saturday at the Crown Plaza, the Sports Awards. So we'll be going through the finalists for the 14 categories, so stay tuned for that. Looks like a great weekend of sports coming up, so don't touch the dial. I'll see you on the other side of the break. Welcome back to Hotspot. Now we're joined by Richard Whitchurch, who is the tournament director for this year's National Women's Snooker titles. Thank you, Richard, for joining us.
Thank you, Mari. Thank you very much.
Tell us a bit about this year's tournament.
This year's tournament is going to be much the same as last year's tournament. The only difference this year is we have a new sponsor on board, a new naming rights and major sponsor. Agara Engineering Limited comes on board. A relatively new company run by a young lady, and she's very much interested in promoting the women's sports and you know, women's things to do with women, basically.
Yeah, go girl power. All right, so how many participants are we looking at?
We're looking at, again, getting 40 women, if we can. If we don't, then we'll strive for it. Certainly, there's been a lot of people showing their interest so far, and we should be putting out the the nomination forms shortly, and waiting for the ladies to come forward.
Okay, so how can the participants go about doing the nominations?
Well, the nomination forms will be put up at the Aviat, the Car Club, and the POMCC.
The three venues.
The three venues that we usually use, which we must thank the venues for their, you know, continued participation. I guess at this stage it would also be remiss of me not to thank Coca-Cola for the last 7 years of sponsorship. Unfortunately, this year they've pulled out from the sponsorship, but you know, thank you to them. And we've got a new sponsor, so we'll move on with them.
Okay, defending champ from last year?
Gewa John is still the defending champ. To my knowledge, she is still taking part. But there are some other young ladies and older ladies as well that are catching up to speed with her, I guess. Some notable names would be Helen Samuel, Hane Waeke, Demita Bray. There's a few of them that could give her a bit of a challenge, but I think she's still the hot favourite at this stage.
All right then. Are the participants just Moresby based? Are we looking at
it is the women's national titles for Papua New Guinea, and any and all women participants are invited from around the country. Again, it's a matter of making their way here, because it's always staged here in Port Moresby. So, but it's an open field to everybody, all women. But 9 out of 10 times it's usually only Port Moresby based. So,
speaking about always being Port Moresby based, is there a plan in the near future to hold it somewhere else besides Port Moresby?
It could be entirely possible. It's up to the PNG Billiards and Snooker Association, of course. And again, it's got to do with the venues and where we can actually host a tournament that has enough tables and that for such a exclusive tournament. But yes, it could be in the pipeline somewhere down the track. Yeah.
All right, just for our viewers' benefit, could you go through the format of the tournament?
It's much the same as last year, which will mean a round robin stage where we should have, because there's 40 players, it'll be probably 5 in each pool, 8 pools, and then after that through to the top 16, and then right through to the grand final after that. So you have your round robin stages and then your final stage after that.
You're looking forward to the tournament this year?
Yeah, we've got the current tournament that's underway is the PMMI corporate comp. So that's sort of going on while this will come in, but it's giving a lot of practice to some of the women. And yes, no, I'm looking forward to it. It's the first tournament for me this year so far, so touch wood.
All right, okay. In your experience with snooker, how have you seen the level of women participating in the sport? The participation is increasing every year. And, I've seen in the last 12 months a lot of women coming and practicing at this venue and at the car club as well, and they're steadily getting better. The Oceania helped in some respects for some of the women. So, I believe snooker for women is on the rise. It clearly showed in the Oceania tournament this year that Gewa actually made it into the final. Yes,
correct. She made the final and unfortunately went down. But, that's the nature of it. So maybe she wasn't on her game that day, but, all credit to her for getting that far.
All right, well, we do wish you all the best for this year's tournament, and the date will be?
We're starting on the 29th, which is a Wednesday, and then the Thursday. Wednesday will be registration, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then the competition ends on Sunday.
Okay, quickly, the registration details?
Registration for those ladies that are already Papua New Guinea Billiard Snooker Association registered players is 150 kina. For those that aren't affiliated, they'll pay an extra 50 kina, so they'll pay 200. So that's pretty much it.
All right. Okay. We do wish you all the best for the titles for this year.
All right. Thank you very much, Mari.
Stay tuned on Hotspot. We have lots more coming up on the other side. Welcome back, you're watching Hotspot. Now, as promised, we bring to you some great news for the Papua New Guinea Women's Rugby Football Union. Yes, recently they received huge financial backing to help develop the code. So we take a look at that press conference that was held early this week.
But it gives me a great pleasure on behalf of the CPL group, mainly City Pharmacy, to take on the undertaking or underwriting the PNG Rugby Union Women's Code, which is very new and very fresh in the country. I believe there's only 90 players currently. Currently 90 players in the country, and we hope to build on it. And the big thing is it's going to be an Olympic sport. So our target is to send our girls to Brazil in 2016. That's our vision, and that's going to be our mission to sort of get Papua New Guinea on the world map. And I think I get assurance from the board and the trainers that they're very confident in getting the girls up there. So, and what City Pharmacy is looking at doing, apart from, we've been sponsoring the Rebels Netball for almost 20 odd years that I recall, and we've seen a lot of Pekininis playing Pekinini netball going on to represent Papua New Guinea in the national squad. And this is the pride and joy we have as a group. And hopefully, I think this is a start with the national team. Simon and his board will start developing schoolgirls rugby to look at that lower level, village level participation to get right up to the national level. So that's the vision we have as a group. And the idea behind us getting behind a national team like this is we're a serious player in the game ourselves as far as community services go, and we would not like to see the national team going out continuously seeking for sponsorship, doing fundraising. They should be engaged in the community, training in their field, and really aspiring to win some gold. So we'd like to make a commitment for the next 5 years, as I said to the guys, that we will underwrite this team. We haven't quite worked out the numbers yet because they will have a lot of tournaments and things, but you know, by the time we finish up 5 years, we're looking at more than $1 million kina commitment from the company. So it's a substantial undertaking, and our support will always be there. Our intention is to keep growing. I mean, it's a great start that we've got 90 players. You know, let's hope that we have 900 players or 9,000 players across the country. And we wanted a nationwide presence, not only Port Moresby centric. As you know, we are a nationwide company, we are public listed, and it's part of our obligation to keep supporting this sort of cause. Just to add on to that, we are going to put a message of violence, to stop violence against women as part of our logo. It's just not about City Pharmacy, it's about the general community and about our women folks in this country. So there'll be a very strong message going out not only locally here but internationally as well. Thank you.
Well, just on behalf of PNG Rugby and the PNG board, we are very thankful for CPL support of the women's rugby program. It is a key area within our rugby program. There is momentous potential around the girls with the Olympic opportunity. We certainly do need to grow the numbers. We are starting out, actually, the girls, when I leave here, they'll go to the airport, they're going to Madang for the Madang Sevens as a part of developing a roadshow to start putting the word out there around women's rugby and trying to attract more women, not just women players, but coaches and referees and everything else that goes with rugby. So that's the start, and we'll do that in further areas in PNG throughout the year. But there is considerable upside to the women's game. From a very small base, we were able to achieve in the last few years Asia Pacific champions. We've pushed Australia, who are number 1 or 2 in the world at the moment, sevens last year at Asia Pacific. The girls came 4th at last year's Oceania Sevens, beating Samoa and Tonga, who had previously beaten them at the Pacific Games. So huge upside, huge levels of interest with the girls rugby, and now with CPL on board, we believe we'll do some fantastic things over the next few years. So thank you again. Well, at the moment, rugby's just purely centred here at Port Moresby. It basically got going in the country in 2008. It's been here since. There's been pockets of women's rugby outside. Divine Word University, there was a women's competition running there. There's interest through the girls with touch and league and all these other sports. We just want to show that rugby union is a viable sport for women to play and participate in, for all the things that we believe rugby benefits to. So that's the purpose of these road shows, is to go out to these centres and start to show the virtues of rugby, get the girls involved in the community outside of Moresby, to grow that interest, grow those participation numbers, and that's the key. It's the key for any sport or any business is more participation, the better off we all are.
Welcome back to Hotspot. Unfortunately, it's that time when we wrap up the show, but before we do, as promised, we take a look at the finalists for this year's Sports Awards, starting with Sports Photo of the Year. The 3 finalists are Game Blomipla by Andrew Mullen, Pacific MMA Lewa's Embracing by Greg Campbell of Cricket PNG, and Try Time for Kumul's photo taken by Eka Keapu of The National. So we wish those 3 finalists all the best for this Saturday. The next category, Sports Media Award of the Year. First finalist, NBC radio coverage of the PNG Games, that is by NBC. Kevin Teme of Post Korea, and our very own Sophia Russo of MTV. So we wish those 3 all the best in that category. We move on to Technical Official of the Year. First finalist, David Charles for Soccer, Alu Kappa for Cricket, and Frank Robbie for Weightlifting. So we wish those 3 finalists all the best in the category for Technical Official of the Year. We next had Coach of the Year. First finalist is Ferdinand Daroya for the sport of basketball, Michael Marum for Rugby League, and John Ovia for the sport of cricket. So we wish those 3 coaches all the best in that category. May the best coach win on the night. Next category, we have Best Sports Person with Disability. First finalist, Regina Edward. followed by Elias Larry and Sandra Pora. The next category we have is Distinguished Services to Sports Award. Apileka for the sport of cricket, Stanley Nandex for the sport of kickboxing, and Frank Robbie again for the sport of weightlifting. So we wish those 3 finalists all the best. We move on to Sports Club of the Year. First finalist is Manalos for the sport of softball, Kamkumum Crushers for rugby league, and the Trukai Harlequins for the sport of rugby union. So we wish those 3 finalists all the best. We move on to Junior Female Athlete of the Year award. That is the first finalist, Lorraine Harry for the sport of weightlifting, Cecilia Kuman for the sport of athletics, and Barbara Valley for the sport of swimming. So we wish the 3 finalists all the best in the category for Junior Female Athlete of the Year. We move on to Junior Male Athlete of the Year, Diddley Junior Billy for the sport of karate, Butler Morris for the sport of rugby union, and Fred Owala for the sport of weightlifting. So we wish the trio all the best in that category. We move on to Community Sports Initiative Award. First finalist, Major Sere Color and Family for basketball, the PNG Kickboxing Association for the sport of kickboxing, Tubu Sere Basketball, of course, for the sport of basketball. So we wish those 3 finalists all the best. We move on to Team of the Year. First finalist, Egma Gurias for the sport of rugby league, Hebo Baramandis for the sport of cricket, and the PNG Palais for the women's rugby sevens team. So we wish those 3 finalists all the best for that category. And we have Sportswoman of the Year. First finalist, Theresa Tona for the sport of taekwondo, Dikatoa for the sport of weightlifting, and Toya Whistle for the sport of athletics. So we wish the 3 ladies all the best in the category for Sportswoman of the Year. And finally, but not the least, we have the category for Sportsman of the Year. First finalist, Dion Ayer for rugby league, Brian Pini for the sport of swimming, and Asadola Vala for the sport of cricket. And there you have it, all the finalists for the 14 categories for the Sports Awards this year. Yep, the big night will be happening this Saturday at the Crown Plaza. So we wish the best sports person, technical official, administrator, all that made the finalists all the best on the night. Well, before we do go, we take a look at the draws for this weekend. We start off with AFL Men's Senior. Saturday here at Mario Barracks, 1 p.m. sees Bombers take on Bomana Cats, 3 p.m. Defence Hawks take on Garu Magpies. On Sunday at Amini Park, 12:30 p.m. sees Gordon's Kokopahs take on Tarama Suns. 2 p.m. Koboni will take on Uni Tigers, and 3:40 p.m. Dockers face Gulf Giants. Also, softball fever, grand final this weekend in the B grade. Brown Eagles will be taking on Defence, and the match everyone will be looking out for is A grade. PNG Power will be taking on United Brothers. Also in the National Soccer League semi-finals, fever up in Lae at the St. Ignatius Kalagas Stadium. 3 p.m. sees home side Vesta PNG United take on FC Pom. Back here in Port Moresby, home side Hikari United FC will be taking on Morobe FC. So we wish the teams all the best taking part in the semi-finals. Also in Medellin, Kalibobo Sevens challenge is on. We do wish all the teams all the best, and we do wish Cecil all the best in his coaching clinics up there in Medellin. Well, it's a wrap for the show for this week. Thank you for joining us. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you same time next week on Hotspot.